Well, today marked a momentous big step forward for the Ludlow family, coming as it does almost 40 years after the killing of Seamus. They've sent out a big message today that the family mean business in terms of trying to get some sort of closure for the memory of Seamus. They haven't had that. Their campaign to date has been marked with terrible frustration and difficulty. Quite simply because of the lack of accountability on the part of the authorities, both north of the border and south, and in particular in relation to the northern authorities and the British government and its agencies, the Ministry of Defence, the Chief Constable. There's been a serious failure. There's clear evidence of collusion in this case in terms of permeating the circumstances of Seamus's killing, and in particular the subsequent investigations after that, the cover-up, the failure to prosecute, the DPP's decision not to prosecute despite overwhelming evidence, the clear connection between the killers and the military, the British military forces, and then to compound their difficulties, it has been made even worse with the realisation over the years that the authorities in the Republic of Ireland haven't facilitated or helped them in the way that they ought to have. And I think things have really reached a head following a decision recently by the Minister for Justice not to implement the Barron recommendations in terms of allegations of serious failings on the part of the Gardaí in terms of retention of information and material and distribution of that, and in terms of their failure to cooperate with other authorities and other agencies. It's a big decision that could have helped give some degree of closure for the families, but they didn't take it, and it's a serious lost opportunity on the part of the authorities here to actually do something and to display a real intention that they're going to try and do something in terms of justice, truth and accountability for the Ludlow family. It didn't happen, and we've been asked to do something legally about it, and that's what we intend to do.
Well, first of all, let me say it was very moving to be at the meeting today. There were 19 family members from the enlarged or extended Ludlow family. Some of them, like Michael, have been working on the issue for a very, very long time. It has now crossed a generation, and I always find that very touching. I think that Kevin made a very good point at the meeting when he said that legal redress is almost the last resort. It's actually an indication that the political system has failed the citizen, that the establishment has failed the system. So I've raised this issue of the refusal thus far to implement the two findings of the Barron Commission with the Minister of Justice. I didn't get a satisfactory reply to that. I intend to return to that issue. This is not a party political matter. This is the responsibility of all the political parties and people who have no political party allegiance in the Oireachtas. So I would look to all of the Oireachtas members to support the Ludlow family in the time ahead, and Sinn Féin will certainly do all that we can to fulfil our responsibilities towards them, to raise it in both the Oireachtas through my own office, to raise it in the north, and to raise it also through the British Parliament and internationally if that's what the family want.
I suppose, does it raise the question of the relevance of these commissions of inquiries if at the end of it the recommendations aren't followed up on?
Well, see, that's a matter of political will, and that's what it comes down to. It's a choice that this government has made, it's a choice that previous governments have made. It's a wrong choice, and of all of the work that Kevin and Gavin Booth have to do, or indeed all of the campaigning, I mean, families become activists, they become campaigners, they end up doing interviews, they end up knowing how to agitate, knowing how to mobilise, knowing how to do all the things that they never wanted to do. They're not political activists. They end up in the name of their dead loved one having to do all of those things. All of that could be short-circuited if the government just did the right thing. And if this government was doing the right thing, it would be much easier to get the British government to do the right thing.
Michael, if you'll just get your reaction. Obviously, Kevin and Jerry have outlined a range of measures that were discussed at today's meeting. From the family's point of view, what's your reaction?
Well, I'm very pleased that they came here today, that they joined us. I know they're being very helpful to us, and we're confident that they will do their best for us. They can't guarantee success at the end of the process, but they're going to do their damnedest to get us there. And I think with their help and a bit of luck, we might achieve something. I hope we do, because we've been hanging around for now 40 years waiting for truth, being messed around, being lied about by the Gardaí here. We were forced into a process that led us nowhere. The Barn report, the Oireachtas report, everything's been shelved. We're no further on now than we were 20 years ago. And we want to get to the truth of what happened in this case. And we want to see people who made decisions be exposed for making those decisions. There's no great demand in the authorities in Dublin to identify who issued the orders, who issued the instructions, for the lies to be told, for the cover-up, for the failure to bring my family to the first inquest in August 1976, for the abduction of my father by the British Army. A lot has happened in this case that was known only within the family, and no one is any rush to find out who's responsible for all of this. And the family does feel very hurt and very upset by it. There's a failure to admit what went on.